Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I have a sketchbook tour, and this is a Hahnemuhle Tone Tan Beige Sketchbook. This is cellulose paper. It's you can find it at some art shops. They can be a little more difficult to find, but it's usually not a super expensive sketchbook. The papers are kind of thin, and they've got this beautiful kind of warm tan tone to them. The first couple pages here, I'm just kind of messing around with watercolor just to see if watercolor will stand up on this, because sometimes with a toned paper it does dull your paints quite a bit, and I was curious as to how it would go. So I just did some quick little doodles there, and here I was playing with a little bit of gouache to see how that would pop, and just kind of getting a feel for working on the toned pages, because when I started this I don't think I had used toned watercolor paper before, and I just kind of wanted to see, you know, what I could do. I also tried it with colored pencil. This was, I think, the Deli colored pencils. I did this in 2020. That must be about when I started this book. Here's from, I did this in gouache from some photos I took in the woods of bunchberries. I thought it was dogwood, but I guess they're actually not dogwood. And I like the look of the gouache on this paper. It looks very vintage, very field guidey. Because the paper's kind of thin, I ended up, it's probably 90 pound, maybe 110 pound, somewhere around there. I decided to just do one side of the page for the most part. I think I have a tutorial of that on my channel, or maybe in Critique Club. I think I also have a tutorial for this. This was from one of my photo reference books, the architecture one, I think. It's a Northlight Books. It's full of artist photo references that you're allowed to use for your artwork. And that was done in Jelly Gouache, I think. This was done in Gansai Tambi paints. It was of the old steeple on the church on the road that I live on. They were doing a fundraiser to repair the steeple, and it was just looking so decrepit. I took a picture of it, and then the Gansai Tambi paints are opaque enough that the white would show up on this, and I thought that was a really nice effect. I really like how that one came out. I'm just tipping it a bit so you don't get the glare. The Gansai paints, they have a little bit of a glare to them if you use them thickly, unlike gouache, which shouldn't. So just something to think about. But if you're looking for a paint that does a little bit of both, can give you a watercolor look, can give you a gouache look, it's kind of a nice option. Now here I was using a budget pencil. These were the Deli pencils, but they were sold under the Starjoy store. I don't know if you can still get them or not. These pencils, man, I'm telling you, pencils just cycle through. A lot of these budget art supplies just cycle through. You can get them once and then they go out and they never come back again. Probably when sales slow down, they just stop stocking them. But the brand was Deli, and they were being touted as a polychromos alternative. So I did the same bird in the Starjoy Delis and polychromos to see if I noticed a big difference. They both worked great, honestly, I have to say. But then again, polychromos is not my favorite pencil. I prefer a wax-based pencil. I painted this on location at the Holden Land Trust, and this was a hot mess. Actually, I was painting something over here, and that was such a hot mess I just painted over it, thinking I would do something on top of that toned background. But I was using gouache in a little palette with a silicone seal on it. And I was using it with water brushes, and the water brushes were getting clogged. I couldn't get a fine line. It was hot. Things were drying on the palette too quickly. It was just a mess. I did not like painting this. I don't like how it came out. And even thinking back to this experience, I am unhappy with it. But, I mean, I like the colors, I guess. It was frustrating, and, yeah. This was painted at Old Orchard Beach. We had taken the girls, on a senior trip there. Them and a bunch of their friends and parents. We rented a beach house, and we had them out there for a week, and it was awesome. I would just head on down to the beach and do some painting. And now these next few paintings are from my class, 30 Days to Better Painting, where I did 30 different paintings. 10 were in gouache, 10 were in acrylics, and 10 were in oils. But you could do the whole class in all. You could do them all in oils, all in acrylics, all in gouache. It didn't matter, or you could use all three. It's up to you. But I did it so that you would have, it would be like a daily 30-minute practice for somebody looking to get back into painting. And I used the Sarah Renee Clark color cubes for the photos. They're all like public domain, or not public domain, but copyright-free photos or commercial use photos, I should say, royalty-free commercial use photos that do not require payment to use. And this was another one from that class. So these were all gouache. So these were 30-minute paintings. And they were fun. They're fun to do. I like them on this tone surface quite a bit. That was a mistake. That was not coming out good, and I decided to scrap it. I like how that came out. Very simple, just good practice, right? I like that one too. Just kind of fun. I like that color palette. Very easy stuff. That was fun. That was fun to paint. Sometimes I'll just kind of test my colors on the facing page. I think you could paint on both pages here. I think that, because this is thicker than like the Arteza sketchbook. I don't think it's 140 though. I'd say maybe 110. But where the mix, I use mixed media and stuff, that was taking another crack at that painting that I didn't like, and I don't like this one either, to be honest. I like that one all right. I like the colors on that. It looks very vintage. Plus I think the paper makes it look vintage. Yeah, I think you definitely could paint on both sides if you wanted to, but I was also getting kind of tired of the sketchbook, and I just wanted it to be used. I wanted it to be done. I want to finish it. Then this is refining the sketchbook this year. I did this at Easter time from our food paint challenge, and I like kind of cropping it to a square for Instagram, but then like putting the stuff I use, swatching it on the borders. I think that looks that's kind of a nice look. I think it just kind of makes it look, I don't know, it gives context to the piece and makes it more than just the painting itself. Same with this, and actually I found that photo from a Sam's Club advertisement, but I'm like, that's so pretty, I love those colors, I'm just going to sketch it, so I did. But you can see when you use like watercolor crayons, you do get a little bit of rub off on the facing page again, so another reason why I didn't want to use a facing page. Or if I decide to take it apart, because sometimes when you're working on a sketchbook, you're like, I don't know if I'm committed to this, but you might want to cut out a page and frame it. So if you don't work on the back side, you don't have that to worry about. I like how that came out. One thing I'll say about this paper though, is that the sizing held up the entire book. I had no issues with the sizing. That was another food paint challenge. And I like just kind of illustrating the supplies and the border. I think that is kind of fun. This was with the Himi Jelly Gouache. And I was never a super huge fan of the Himi Gouache. I thought it was a cool idea. I thought the gouache was fine. But then I had one of the split cup sets and it dried out. And I'm like, well, I don't want to mess when I'm using my art card upstairs on my couch. So I took that split cup, dried up Himi Gouache and put that in there. I give it a spray when I'm going to use it, and it works fine, and it's showing up just fine on this tone paper. So I kind of need to retract my criticism of the Himi Gouache, I think, because in use after it's dried out, I actually found it worked really great for what I was using it for. This was watercolor pencils, and I thought that worked pretty good. I used a little bit of white pen there to make it pop, but that was some aloe. I think, yeah, it was some sprouted some aloe. Is it? Gosh, I don't remember. Actually, you know what? I wouldn't know what this is because that was from a photo from Food Paint Challenge or something. Or Liquid Paint Challenge, I think. Gosh, I almost thought that I had that. But no, I don't. We have an aloe plant similar to that. I never shared that. But that was just a little pastry from one of those food challenges. I've been sharing less of what I do because it gives me a little more freedom, I think, to just paint and not worry about it. This was a World Watercolor Month prompt for, I think, tired or rest or something. I can't remember. So I did a little baby. This was a Food Paint Challenge, and I used also for the prompt kitchen on World Watercolor Month, and I changed the background to that teal so it would make the red really pop. And that was a World Watercolor Month challenge. I can't remember, what was it? I don't remember, something to do with the ocean, but I just watched Jaws again. I love watching that movie every summer, and so I did a scene from Jaws, and then I added the shark in there. And this was the last one for World Watercolor Month, and I did it on the end papers, and it was just, the prompt was, I think it was drift, and so I did a little message in a bottle, kind of drifting off into the sea. And there is that sketchbook. So, I mean, yeah, I could use the other sides of the pages, but I don't know. Sometimes if I've had a book going for so long, I just want to wrap it up. You know, I just want to, let's get the show on the road. I have so many other sketchbooks I want to try, and I actually did just buy the graduate sketchbooks in tan and gray. I want to try those out. I've tried the gray version of this book and I hate the color gray that it is. It just looks like recycled paper. It's not dark enough to really be gray. So I didn't like the gray one, but I really like this beige color, and they do make it in a square, and maybe a square would have suited me better because then it would have been already like formatted kind of for Instagram. But, and that's where I tend to share my paintings. But all in all, I thought this was a fun sketchbook to fill, and yeah, maybe I should have used both sides of the paper, but it's done. It's going on the pile. It's going on the finished sketchbook pile because I've got too many. I'm a sketchbook floozy. I got too many sketchbooks going. I need to go. I need to go finish some others. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know what your favorite sketch was, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye.